Jade Empire was Bioware's last game on the original Xbox. In my opinion, it's one of the most pretty original Xbox games, but that's most likely due to it being at the very end of the Xbox life. Jade Empire came out in April of 2005, and the Xbox 360 came out in November of 2005. And I assume this has got to be a big reason to why no one I know had ever played it. Why buy a full-price game when the next gen of gaming is right around the corner? And this definitely impacted sales. The executive producer stated that he wished they polished it a few months and then put it on the Xbox 360 instead. And I also agree. While it is my least favorite Bioware game I've ever played, that isn't saying much, because every Bioware game I played is absolutely fantastic, and so is Jade Empire. However, there is a clear lack of polish in this game, and it shows in multiple areas. Also, it sucks that sales went down incredibly quickly after launch, because I would really like a sequel. So let's start talking about this game. First up, there is no character creator. Rather, there are a few preset character models for you to choose from who have default stats, but you can change the stats how you want them. Changing stat styles and weapons is about all you can do for customization. No clothing options, hair options, etc. There are gems that can change different things about your character, but in terms of visual customization, there's really not a lot. Which is fine for someone like Gage, who really just pick stuff by numbers, what's the best, etc. But for someone like me, it's very sad. Also, Gage is the majority of footage that you will be seeing. I also played a playthrough, so I'll sometimes throw mine in, but Gage's is going to be the main one you see. So yeah, for someone like me who enjoys heavy amounts of customization, it's already a bit down from KOTOR, which at least let you change heads and give you different clothing options and more weapon variables. And again, it also goes worse than KOTOR by only allowing one follower at a time, which feels off. It also does not really get too complex in terms of what can be upgraded and comes off very basic. However, combat is very different from KOTOR, and I like it far better. While it is still a bit simple, and I wouldn't even say it's fully good, it's at least real-time with blocks and dodges and different magics and different styles, and even the ability to turn into different creatures while fighting. And like I said, I wouldn't say it's good, but I also wouldn't say it's bad. It's totally adequate, completely fine, and I don't see this turning away people the way KOTOR's combat seems to. We start off sparring with fellow students, and we are the best and most favored student at the school. And while many students treat us with respect, others take anger that they spend so much time here while not getting as much teaching because our master favors us. And while that is a completely genuine complaint, the one who is making it is such an arrogant asshat that it's hard not to dislike him. I mean, he's purposefully made super dislikable, which I think is a really smart way to get players hooked, because having someone so dislikable at the very beginning of a fighting game means you want to kick his ass. So now you're hooked. Our Master Lee tells us how great we are, but our conversation is cut short when it turns out bandits are attacking our village. We go pick up Dawnstar, our friend and first follower. She has the ability to talk to the spirits of the dead. Unfortunately, when we reach her, Gao the Lesser is there. He's that asshat who we don't like.
What's the matter, Dawnstar? Are you scared that Master Lee might find out?
There is talk of approaching bandits, and you bother me with unsubtle advances. How very like you, Gao. No doubt a tactic learned from your criminal father.
His name is Gao the Greater, and he built a fortune out of some ragged thieves and slave traders. If my charm can't lift your spirit, I'll buy the ground from under you.
Now, you can change the tactics of your followers. Attack will have them fight with you, and support turns them into some sort of bonus for your stats that has them meditate on making you more powerful. I don't really like that, and unfortunately followers in this game can be very weak at fighting and not that helpful, so it seemed best to usually just have them support you. For example, Dawnstar recovers your chi while you fight, and chi's like magic. The game is really pretty and set in an Asian fantasy land and not any real world place, but it is based on some. But again, like I said, it is one of the best looking Xbox games in my opinion. We then kill bandits and get to pick a weapon. Either a powerful or legendary sword, or a stick. And while I usually like staffs in video games, I gave a try to both and the sword was vastly superior, even though I'm the staff guy. Upon arriving at the bandit ship, we get the most gruesome scene in the game.
You will all, of course, have to die.
We then fight off bandits and the undead spirits. The leader then teleports from the ship to fight us, but Master Li shows up and has other plans.
I have seen enough of your skills. You will die now, so I am not troubled later.
You! Well fought, my student, but I cannot risk you against a foe like this yet.
Upon returning, Gao the Lesser is still being an ass and challenges us to a fight. We accept.
Your leaping tiger.
It is done. The challenge has concluded and the winner is clear.
No! I'm not finished!
Gao, you are no longer welcome among my students, and your father's house shall have no more business here, despite his influence.
I was not beaten! Not by this peasant!
Master Li then tells us we were born into spirit monks, but a powerful and evil hand to the Emperor known as Death's Hand killed all the spirit monks, and that Master Li rescued us and brought us here as a baby and trained us, and that the bandit leader was a member of Death's Hand, known as the Lotus Assassins, and he's afraid more will come. So he sends us to a magical cave to try to learn more spiritual stuff that may help us. This leads to us fighting tons of spirits and meeting the spirit of the water dragon. The water dragon is powerful and says we are important and gives us an amulet and helps us pick a chi power, and we also fight a pot.
Death will be your release.
It turns out Dawnstar has been kidnapped by Gao the Lesser. The shithead and his men stole Dawnstar and killed some of our villagers when they tried to stop him. We travel through the swamps looking for Gao when we meet a hermit named Sagacious Zhu. He's a powerful staff fighter and once was a member of the Lotus Assassins, which are Death's Hand's men. We ask if he wants to help and he doesn't, but he changes his mind when he hears Dawnstar is captured. Despite them not knowing each other, multiple times in the game it is vaguely implied that Sagacious Zhu is secretly Dawnstar's father, and is only a hermit there so he can keep a watchful eye on her from afar. Though if we were ever supposed to find out, or if he ever tells her, that didn't happen in either my playthrough or Gage's playthrough. We then find Gao and Dawnstar in a cave of ogres.
When I catch you, woman, you will be sorry.
It's always someone else's fault, isn't it, Gao? This is your mess. I didn't make you kidnap me.
I swear, Dawnstar, my patience is running thin. No! No! Not you! Anyone but you! What are you doing here? I understand more than you. I did you a favor, but you are too stupid to know a good thing when you're in its grasp.
Being kidnapped was a good thing? You have an odd view of what it takes to impress a woman.
Fools! You'd be dead if it wasn't for me. Everything you have is gone. My father will see to that.
It has already begun. You'll see. Death comes from above to ferret out your hidden master and his real name. Dawnstar was the only thing I wanted to save, and what thanks do I get? Nothing.
So be it. I'll just kill you all and forget your pitiful little village ever existed.
We then steal a flyer to fly back to our village to make sure everything's okay. And these are my least favorite sections. They're just airplane mini-games that remind me of arcade games. Specifically, the one that comes to mind is the game 1942. These aren't bad. If you like this kind of thing, then it's probably pretty fun. But I'm not really into it, so it's just a little bit annoying every time I have to do it. Now, it's far less annoying than the turret sections in KOTOR. I'll take this over it any day, because this at least I don't hate. It's just like a little annoying. Unfortunately, our city has been bombed. Master Li is vanished, and Gao the Lesser's men have killed everyone.
There were so many. Everywhere. And fire from the skies.
We've chased off all of Gao's men. He'll be safe now.
No, they came later. First there were fighters in black. With fists you could hardly see. She told them where to attack and they turned like one mind. One purpose. Except for the one. He stood alone. His armor so black. Black like a hole in the earth. So deep you can't get out.
Then we plan to fly off and try to find Master Li and confront Gao the Greater about the destruction. Unfortunately, our flyer crashes at a place called Tian's Landing and we can't leave till it's fixed. With our flyer broken and us stranded in Tian's Landing, there's only one thing we can do. Bet everything we own on a slave child to win a race that he has never even won or even finished in order to gain a part for our flyer due to the area we are in not taking part in a wildly accepted currency that they could take part in. Just kidding. Sorry. Star Wars mind. No, what we actually need to do is get a part for the ship and a wind map. And it turns out the dam is open and this is causing issues to everyone in town. So they're asking for help. There's also a ton of pirates in town because we need something to fight. There are a ton of side quests that happen and I'm not really gonna get into most of them and try to focus on the main story, but every now and then I will mention ones that really stick out or feel important. Now, one important-ish choice we can make here is to not close the dam. While closing the dam will help people and get ships moving again, keeping it open is helping some shady people with profit, and they promise to pay you to not close it and to break the controls so it stays open. Another thing to note here is that there once was a great drought throughout this land, and the Emperor, through the power of the water dragon, brought the drought to the end, but at the cost of greatly hurting the water dragon. Also, a short walk away from Tian's Landing was a village that was flooded due to the dam being opened, and the spirits of those who died within the flood are there fighting all who enter. We also meet Silk Fox, a ninja assassin who attacks us thinking we are part of the Lotus Assassins, and then we kick her ass and she's like, oh, maybe you're not, okay. We decide to go deal with the pirates next, who happen to be working for Gao the Greater, father of Gao the Lesser. Also, they are slave traders. It is here we meet Sky, who teams up with us by throwing us under the bus.
He's just one man. He can't beat all of us.
Look around. The odds are not so much in your favor. There's still a chance for you to run.
What are you talking about, fool?
You haven't noticed my partner over there watching us? Don't let her grace and beauty fool you. She's deadly. This is your last chance to get out of here alive.
Sky's a pretty cool guy, and one of the romantic options of the game. Out of the companions, the romanceable ones are Sky, Dawnstar, and Silk Fox. But in both my playthrough and Gage's, we didn't romance anyone. Although we flirted with Sky a lot, we never made it to a dating stage. Sky is also after Gao the Greater and will help us as a companion. Meanwhile, Gao and the Lotus Assassins are talking to Mistress Jiha, one of our main villains in this game. They're planning to have lots of flyers for attacks. We then interrupt their plans by killing Gao and his assassins. This gives us our next companion, Kang the Mad, whose main personality traits are being an inventor who enjoys explosions and being annoying as fuck. If there was a toilet in this game, he would be getting a swirly. And with this quest, we get a new flyer, called the Marvelous Dragonfly. So now we are ready to leave once we have a wind map. Now, your followers do talk to you from time to time, but unlike in most Bioware games, it rarely feels like they have that much to say. And while they are fine characters, they feel very uncomplicated, giving you not a lot of reason to continue talking to them. Another thing to mention is that as well as spirits, there are different variations of demons as well.
Better question. Why should Demon trust you? But listen good now. Rat Demon knows lots of things. I knows hitting Rat Demon not good, hitting Rat Demon bad. I also knows that Rat Demons like the taste of ducks. If you got any ducks.
In combat, some enemies can be hurt by some attacks. Demons can be hurt by chi attacks, for example. And it's sort of like a rock, paper, scissors style of fighting where you gotta choose the attack that does hurt the enemy type. Which is both fine and annoying if you put all your points into one skill.
I eat your toes when you did.
There's also other creatures like ogres, which can be enemies or not. Not every creature is an enemy. We also do numerous side quests to help put some kids to rest who died when the dam was open, and we fight off men and Lotus Assassins close to the dam. The water dragon appears and tells us we're doing a good job, but she's in pain and needs us to hurry our ass up and help her. Also, there is a Guardian who can be part of our team, and the Guardian is one of my favorite companions. It's a little girl possessed by the spirit of a demon called the Guardian, and she transforms into him for battle. He can also speak through her. She's one of the most complex characters in the game, being multiple characters in one. Back at Tian's Landing, those who are profiting off the misery of others are mad we closed the dam, so we have to kill them. If we enter a magical forest, it was once great, but now it is dark and foul. And we meet a man who promises us a wind map if we can find out what's causing the forest to be ill. Shortly later, we meet a fox lady who starts attacking people and turning them into stone. She also attempts to turn us into stone. And what do you mean, what am I? You're an anthropomorphic magical talking fox that turns people into stone. What are you? We also meet Black Whirlwind. He is our next companion, and all he thinks about is fighting and killing. He's basically a Krogan in a human body. We also fight these spirits that look like No-Face from Spirited Away. We end up in the weirdest of hotels, and for some reason it's outdoors, so it's like a motel, sort of, except I don't see any rooms. It's more like a large outdoor cafe. They call themselves an inn, but there's only a cook who doesn't want to be there and a bunch of very weird men who really want us to kill the fox. They act super strange and suspicious at all times. Very little subtlety. We also set out to solve a puzzle that will zap us into heaven. Specifically, it seems to be the heaven for fox people and other anthropomorphic animals. We talk to the main fox woman, and she says that the people at the inn are actually demons and are making the forest all dark and corrupted, and the people we saw her turn into stone earlier, those were demons too. She also tells us a bit more about the water dragon and begs us to kill the demons so that the forest can be made whole again. And I feel like this could have been a much more interesting quest if it was made harder to tell that the people at the inn were demons. Unfortunately, they act so suspicious it's clear that the fox lady is telling the truth, making the obvious answer to go after the demons. However, away from Gage's playthrough, my character, just for funsies, is a bad guy. So on my playthrough I killed the fox lady and all the fox people, even though that really didn't make sense. And it really didn't even seem to change anything much. I still got the win map, just for figuring out that there were demons. Anyway, back to Gage's playthrough, we call the demons out and they immediately turn into demons and are like, oh shit, you caught us, now you die. So then they all die. This gives us the companion Henpecked How, who is a cook whose main personality is that he hates his wife. And while I really hate the I hate my wife joke kind of people, the particular way this is done is so over the top. It isn't just blatant misogyny, and it's actually a joke that continues to get wilder over time and can actually be funny. Like the whole reason he was captured and forced to be a cook was because he tried to get away from her. Gage then fights and kills the mother of these demons.
There's no end to them, just like my wife's coming.
And with that, the forest will return to the way it was, and we get a win map. Also, one other quick thing about my character, if you put the Guardian on support, it can heal you, meaning with these claws and healing powers, I basically turned this game into one of the best X-Men games out there. Alright, back to Gage's playthrough. So off we fly to the Imperial City. Here we meet the princess, who it turns out is actually Silk Fox. But we're keeping that secret quiet for her. And while here, we learn that the Guardian isn't the only creature living inside the girl. There's also a demon side that can be brought out, which I think not only makes her more complex, but it makes your choices with how you act matter more. Gage was more about the Guardian, while I went more the evil route, so I cared more about the demon. There's also an arena here, kind of like the arena in KOTOR, but mandatory. You also have to talk to Davy Jones from SpongeBob to join.
Wait a moment. You have the look of a fighter about you. Those hands, that stance, even your eyes. I'd know that look anywhere.
But then after that, you get to fight in the arena. And fighting gives you money and it gives you XP, and I love arenas in RPGs. They are a good way to test your skill and just a fun little thing. Some of my favorites have them, KOTOR, Oblivion, etc. We also spend a lot of time in the necropolis where the spirits live, either helping them find rest, in Gage's case, or just beating the shit out of them and telling them to suck it up in my case. I will say the amount of spirits you fight can be a bit repetitive. I can't tell you how many times I watched Gage do the same fight over and over again. Not because he lost, he won. No, the place just gives you the same fight every time you enter this area, which you have to do many, many times. And then we get insulted, as it turns out somebody wants a fight.
Your parentage is below average, and your ancestry is of questionable worth. Your breath is like the wind of an ox. Your last meal was of suspect quality.
Hold! You must forgive my servant. He was acting for me. I asked him to find someone not distracted by mere insults, someone who would command respect. An outlander strolled into the city several days ago and now sits like a cormorant taking what he wants from the river of our hospitality. We don't want a murder, we just want order restored. But he doesn't respond like we do. He proposes challenges we don't understand and then declares himself the winner.
But we'll deal with that later, because we have a meeting with Silk Fox where she officially joins our roster of companions. Our plan is to do well in the arena so Death's Hand will notice us and take us in to be a Lotus Assassin, which will bring us closer to finding and stopping him as well as saving Master Li. So we finally meet up with that British bastard who insulted us. He's played by John Cleese, and he has a British accent but a Spanish kind of outfit.
As amusing as your savage dances are, once again I have proven the superiority of setting your nose to the grindstone and not mucking about.
He believes he's smarter than everyone, and he also blasts someone with a gun to show that it's better than martial arts. He's literally just there to insult everyone and say that they're savages and that he's so much better. So we end up debating him, and then after beating him in the debate, where judges decide if our argument is better, we then fight him, and he fucking blasts his gun at us, but we eventually beat him. And once you do, you can actually get his gun. It's got powerful blasts, but slow reloads, and neither Gage or I really used it much, but it is cool that you can get it. Next we head to the Black Leopard School. The school has basically a Cobra Kai vs Miyagi-Do kind of thing going on, where one side is the clear good guy and one is the clear bad guy. You end up having to fight whichever side is the opposite of the one you join. And in rewards, you get XP and special abilities. My favorite part is when you wreck them and they say something silly like, "I've never seen him fight that well, and you still won."
Death will be your release.
That was quite a match. I've never seen Third Brother Rinshan fight that well, and yet you still beat him.
So we go through a bunch of arena battles to show off our skill. We also learned that the Black Whirlwind used to be a really great arena fighter and is well known there. That being said, there is a part where Black Whirlwind asks to fight the final boss for you because he has a personal vendetta against him. And you can say yes, which makes you play as Black Whirlwind to fight the boss, but never fucking say yes, because your character is always going to be stronger than Black Whirlwind, and more versatile, because Black Whirlwind has one attack and no items or chi. It is a mistake to let him do it. But with that, we are very well noticed by the Lotus Assassins and can infiltrate them in one of two ways. Either by going with a guy to show that we can be a brute, or going with a guy to show that we can be smart. Both ways will lead to the same place and outcome, but Gage does both of them for the fun of it. Before doing that though, a little girl asks us for help. She's being forced to go into this tomb with an evil emperor boss. So we go in for her, and it turns out to be one of the hardest, if not the hardest, fight in the game. I beat him a lot easier than Gage, but we had very different builds, and with his build, it was hard as shit. On top of that, he can steal your health to heal himself, and there's no way in hell this little girl was going to be able to beat him. We then team up with a sex worker to kill a man who abuses women, and we also team up with this lady.
My name is Aishi, the Mournful Blade. In my years in this empire, I have been a wanted criminal, a bandit, a murderer, and worse. I met a boy. He was a natural leader. He had drive and direction. I was in love. He used to enjoy tormenting the children of our village, and I thought it was all fun. Then, one day, he pushed a young boy into the river outside of town. It was fast-moving and would have swept the child away, but he managed to grab hold of a rock. The child screamed for help. His cries were shrill with terror, for he could not swim. I moved to help him, but I felt a hand on my arm. The boy I loved turned to me and said, "If we help him, he'll only tell the others what we have done. We have to let him go." Something in his voice. I believed him. It's time I paid for my crimes.
Well, it's good to see our new bounty hunter was able to bring you in. Frankly, Aishi, I thought you'd fight to the death. You weren't this weak, then.
No, I was weak. Otherwise, I would have ignored you by the river. I'm going to pay for my crimes, but there's one thing I have to do first. I have to kill you.
She's mad! She means to kill me! You protect me. I'll double the bounty.
This next section is my favorite section. It's the Lotus Assassin area. I think what I like about it is there being an evil faction side, because Korriban was my favorite in KOTOR, and not only does it boost your time if you are doing an evil playthrough, this is always a good area to be extra evil, but also it gives you something hard to fight against if you're doing a good playthrough. And even if you're doing like a neutral one, it will test where your morals are with different situations. I really like these kinds of sections. I will say, this is not nearly as good as something like KOTOR's, but it is still fun, it is still good, and I'll give you some highlights. Before I do though, I'll also mention Sagacious Zoo is someone you can't bring here. That's because he's going to be awkwardly popping in and out of sight to talk to you and be like, "Hey, I've lived this, and it's bad." And you're like, "I know, Zoo, I have eyes." And he's like, "Right, I'll be back in a couple of minutes to tell you this place is bad. And it starts off kind of interesting, but eventually it gets annoying, as what information he provides adds very little, and it happens too often with every character going, wow, he's so mysterious. I wonder whose side he's on. And it's not even like, let's take Jack Sparrow for example, where sometimes you don't actually know whose side he's on. No, it's more like we know he's on our side, but he keeps popping in and out to be like, I am very badass and mysterious. Please remember that. And we're like, okay, sure, fine. So there's a device called the Soul Extractor. It takes slaves and extracts their souls painfully and places them into a stone golem that they're using for battle. It's a neat concept, and we end up destroying the machine. We never, however, can use it. Even as an evil character, your only choice is to sabotage the machine and destroy it. We also beat up the trainer, which automatically promotes us to her position, which she's actually cool with, because if she ever got too good, I guess they would kill her. We then train everyone by killing every student till there's no one left to train. We also kill our bosses by smashing one with a press and dropping a golem on the other. And while this seems cool, this is the only way to do it other than to outright fight them, and that sucks because Gage was gonna throw the boss into his soul extractor to destroy it and to kill the boss, and that's a great idea that the game won't let you do. And then we stop a shipment of slaves, and all this is really fucking up their whole golem making process. But then both that one mistress lady and Death's Hand fucking show up. So Gage kills her.
Dragon. Longsword.
But then this scene happens.
Behind you!
You knew you could not beat me, exile.
I wasn't looking for victory. Just a few seconds.
So yeah, we escape, but Sagacious Zoo is dead, which would have more of an impact if he had more time and more depth. I mean, he had more depth than a lot of characters, but it still wasn't much. This death doesn't affect me the way like KOTOR's or Mass Effect's did. Off we fly to the Imperial Palace. Things are already chaotic here, and nobody's listening to the princess, who's been ordered to stay put. Also, before that even happened, we did the hardest little arcade ship flying thing, and I will say this one was for an optional upgrade, so it's kind of our fault we did it, but this is still not my kind of thing, and often this isn't an optional thing. Over on my side, before we could even proceed to the palace, I had to have the Guardian and Demon fight each other for who would end up being in control. Gage never had to do this because he just shut the Demon down as soon as he spoke, but as the evil shit I was, I not only entertained the Demon, I helped him kill the Guardian. We then go through killing tons of Lotus assassins to make our way to the Emperor. And here we see Master Li, and this is where the twists start coming out.
I am the eldest, and therefore the Emperor. I have you at a disadvantage, and yet you toy with me. What do you know, glorious strategist? Where is the spirit monk amulet?
You will find out soon enough, brother.
Father!
Child? What are you doing here? I have important matters. And what have you done to yourself? You look like a common street woman.
Don't lecture me! Master Lee's student brought me evidence from the Lotus assassin
Crescent Fortress. You allowed Death's Hand to corrupt the Empire.
Master Li's student.
Then we fight the Emperor. Gage beats him by spamming.
Leaping Tiger. I must Storm Dragon. Dire Flame. Longsword. Dire Flame.
And I beat him by turning into a giant golem. Oh, but then even more twists arrive.
Your abilities have grown immensely, but it also does my heart good to see that you have remembered the basics of what I taught. Even the flaws.
I'd like to point out the flaws were me just being a fucking human that got hit hard. Her flaw was being mortal. This sends us to a ghost purgatory kind of place where we need to use the water dragon's friend Abbott to escape. And while I do like how this looks, it lasts a bit long for me as I want to continue the story, but it feels like a long pause of trying to become alive again to do so. And by long, I'm talking like over an hour. These purgatory beings are spirit monks though, like our previous people, so that's pretty cool. We then have to fight ourselves, which ends up freeing the spirit monks from this existence and bringing us back to life. We then go to our friends to tell them we aren't dead, and they are excited and we plan to go after Master Li. Then while we sleep, Master Li gives us a weird nightmare, where he tries to frame the death of the school on us so we feel bad, which doesn't work because that doesn't make any fucking sense and feels like a desperate reach. Anyway, a battle's coming to us, which means more flying, but mandatory. This also gives our team time to shine, and at one point we got to choose between a couple members on who to be for this weird fight with bad fixed camera angles, which the game has never given us until now. I will say one cool thing though is the journal system switches to whatever character you are and how they would feel about the situation, so that's pretty cool. It also gives you objectives in the way a character would see them. For example, Dawnstar's would be about proving herself useful and competent, and Silk Fox's would be about making Dawnstar not die. There's also a Slaughterfest with Black Tornado. Meanwhile, Sky's setting a trap, but he gets hurt because Death Hand is here. But I really like this whole section because it doesn't make it feel like it's just you. It actually feels like you have a team fighting with you, and I appreciate it. Death's Hand must obey his master even if he doesn't want to, and right now his master is Master Li, so he has to fight us. Gage beats him and sets him free from his curse, so he'll be dead and no longer is a slave to his master's wishes. I, on the other hand, not only keep him and make him my slave, but I'm also even more shitty to those who disagree with me.
I find this matter most unsettling.
What? He's a damn good fighter. Better to have him as an ally than an enemy.
He's not an ally, he's enslaved. I do not like that he is here. It seems cruel, even if he was our enemy.
Tools must be respected, but they are still just tools.
That could apply to any of us. That is why this is cause for concern.
I cannot support this. His spirit should be allowed some peace. I can't follow you if you approve of this.
As a member of the royal family, I must protest. You cannot do this if you want my support.
I don't care if he goes or stays, but the twisting of a man's soul should not be allowed.
Such a thing is not natural. I won't follow you if this continues. I'd rather face my wife again.
You would strip away my will? What is my loyalty worth if it is forced? Please, remember the person you were before all this talk of power.
If it must be done, Come on, let's get this over with so we can get to our next battle.
It would seem that the group is again of one mind.
Who cares what brings them to the front line, as long as they fight when they get there?
You have removed all choice in the matter, the weakest ploy of a poor leader.
A leader? No, the actions of a slaver.
I hold more pity than hatred for Death's Hand now. He endured this for 20 years.
He fell because he was naive, and we have done the same. The savior of the Empire is just another tyrant in the making.
Don't look at me. It is bad enough I feel your will within my mind. I don't want to see your face. My eyes may do as you command, but they will hold no affection for you.
Please, I don't want to talk. My head moves as you direct, but that makes you a master, not a friend.
And Death's Hand is a good ally. We cut off a lot of heads together, but geez, you aren't just a villain here, you're like a real fucking piece of shit. I was feeling quite bad for the things I did to my friends. Next we go see the water dragon. She's in pain and we can fight to free her. The writing here is not awful if the editing cut some out, but it didn't, so you have characters just saying the same things over and over and over again.
Oh, the heavens.
This is not right. Gods do not bleed.
Forgive us, great dragon. Our mortal kin are ignorant, foolish, unkind. These crimes will not go unanswered.
I have never seen such a crime against the proper order of things.
Every freedom I cherish is violated by this.
There's no other decision to make. This desecration, we must undo it.
A good step toward rectifying this desecration.
There was no other reasonable response to such an abomination.
Then let it be so. Take hold of a blade, Spirit Monk, and let it strike true. Destroy the machine that maintains this abomination.
We fight and free the water dragon, which has a big impact on Master Li's powers. However, in my evil playthrough, things are far darker as I kill some of my old friends and fucking make the water dragon bleed a ton and take power for myself.
No! At least let there be a fight. I can't simply let you do this.
No, must I be bound while this happens? I would fight.
You coward! At least give me the freedom to try and stop this.
If they fight for me, they will benefit from my influence as you have, Spirit Monk. The heavens guide your hands. Pray it is enough.
I will say being evil in this game has a lot more impact than being evil in some other games I've played. At last we fight Master Li. Gage uses his perfect, tried and true, flawless method.
Storm Dragon. Longsword. Storm Dragon. Longsword. Storm Dragon. Longsword.
And everyone cheers and the day is saved. The end. Over on my end, I also fight Master Li, but I get rid of that one fatal flaw he left in me. Being mortal. I become a giant fucking Jade Golem and kill him that way. Flaw fucking fixed. I then kill the water dragon, and all Lotus Assassins belong to me, and that's how mine ends. Both are fine endings, but feel a bit abrupt. I think maybe I'd want one more wrap-up scene, but it works, and they give a whole bunch of text to say what happens to each character. Overall, Jade Empire is a really good game. It just feels unfinished and like there was a lot more that could have been done here. Would I play a sequel? Hell yeah. Do you think we'll get one? Nah, probably not. I do recommend you play it though, and I feel like with a couple more months, this could have been amazing. As I see it now, it's one of Bioware's worst, which makes it sound bad, but it's not. It's fucking great, just missing some polish. I don't know that Bioware makes a bad game.